Move. I said get out of the way! Get out of here! You're nothing but trash!
Inside the diner, an old African-American man named Ray Carter sat alone at a corner table, his hands wrapped around a bowl of cheap soup.
Easy now. You're all right. You're safe inside. Get that thing out of my kitchen right now!
Chef, please. It was an accident. Don't hurt him.
Please, God, don't take him from me.
It's severe pneumonia. The total cost is $1,200.
Save him. I'll find a way.
Compassion is never wasted. It waits. It remembers.
Winter in the northern United States was merciless. Snow piled up in dirty gray, walls along the streets, and the wind cut through skin like broken glass. Behind a small roadside diner on the outskirts of town, a thin stray dog curled her body around her newborn puppy. Inside a collapsing cardboard box, her ribs pressed sharply against her skin, her paws cracked from ice, yet she refused to move. Every shallow breath she took was an act of defiance against the cold. When the diner's back door slammed open, a chef stepped out, irritation written across his face. He kicked the box aside as if it were garbage. The puppy whimpered weakly, barely alive. "Get out of here," the man spat. "You're nothing but trash." Inside the diner, an old man named Ray Carter sat alone at a corner table, his hands wrapped around a bowl of cheap soup. Ray had no home, no family, and no certainty of tomorrow. His life fit inside an old pickup truck parked 2 blocks away. As he stared through the fogged window and saw the dogs trembling outside, something broke inside him. He looked down at his wallet, a few coins, one torn $10 bill, everything he had. Ray stood up without finishing his meal. The storm howled as he stepped outside. At that moment, the mother dog gathered the last of her strength, pushed the diner door open, and collapsed onto the floor, her puppy slipping from her mouth onto the wet mat. Gasps filled the room. The chef rushed forward, raising a broom, fury burning in his eyes. Ree stepped between them. His body shook, not from fear but from hunger and cold that had ruled him for years. Without a word he placed the torn bill on the counter. The chef snatched it and shoved them all back into the snow. Ray knelt beside the puppy, its chest barely moved. He wrapped the small body inside his worn sweater, carried both dogs to his truck, and drove into the blinding storm. The engine rattled, the windshield froze, and Ray whispered prayers he hadn't spoken in decades. At the veterinary clinic, the diagnosis was brutal. Severe pneumonia. The cost was impossible. $1,200. Ray signed the payment agreement anyway. Save him, he said quietly. I'll find a way. Days turned into weeks. Resold the only thing that had ever brought him joy, his old guitar. He shoveled snow until his hands bled, carried lumber twice his weight and collapsed into frozen mud from exhaustion. People tossed money at him without looking into his eyes. Ray knelt, picked it up and pressed it to his chest, thinking of the small heartbeat fighting for life behind a glass wall. When the puppy finally opened his eyes, Ray cried without shame. Months later, Ray was still poor, still living in his truck, but no longer alone. One afternoon, the engine failed near an abandoned scrapyard. As Ray searched desperately for help, the dogs began digging at the base of a dead tree, barking wildly. Beneath the frozen soil lay a rusted metal box, heavy and sealed. Inside were old gold coins, hidden decades ago and forgotten by the world. Ray fell to his knees, overwhelmed, realizing that kindness had quietly found its way back to him. A year later, the snow was gone. Sunflowers swayed in the wind around a small farmhouse. Ray sat on the porch, with a warm cup of coffee, a new guitar, resting on his knee. The once dying puppy ran freely across the field, strong and golden, while his mother slept peacefully nearby. Ray smiled, knowing the truth he had lived. Compassion is never wasted. It waits. It remembers.